Hello, everybody. Welcome to another riveting episode of Buggy Reviews. Today's episode, we are going to be covering, well, a new MCU thing. I know, as of late, the MCU has been very hit or miss, if we're going to be generous. And today's episode, as on the title, is Thor: Love and Thunder, the latest in the Thor series and the latest one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. To appropriately summarize it up, it is a very cookie cutter, average movie. Now, I know that Thor 1 and 2 were kind of a little bit more serious in tone. They had a bit of a different thing going on for them. Dark World was kind of the black sheep of the MCU as far as everybody else was concerned. I would need to rewatch that just to get a better idea of what it was like back in the day, and maybe see if how stuff went. But I know that when Ragnarok came around, it seemed like a nice breath of fresh air for Thor. But that depends on who you ask. Some people might think it was the best idea for Thor to take in this direction. Others think that this was probably the worst idea ever made. Now, I'm sort of in the middle in this one, where I don't think it's the worst idea ever they've done, but I could definitely see the problems that are stemming from this. As this goes on, we bring back Jane Foster to reprise her role, and then we get Valkyrie, we get Korg, and then we bring in Christian Bale to play Gore the God Butcher. And you would think, hey, this ought to be fine. You got a good cast. You have a person who's expressed themselves on the success. Maybe it'll go well, but not so much here. Because the general plot summary is it's a little simple. It's basically Thor comes back to Earth after his little pilgrimage throughout the galaxy, finds that Jane has returned and is wielding Mjolnir. Then Gore shows up, kidnaps some kids, and basically Thor, Jane, Valkyrie, and Korg, they have to mount a rescue attempt to go after him and save these Asgardian kids that were taken. And as far as plot summaries go, it's pretty simple, and I think I'm okay with that simplicity to a degree. However, it does feel like really cookie cutter average. To get some stuff out of the way, let's start off with Gore. Christian Bale is a great actor. There's no denying that. I believe he definitely put his heart into this role, but the character does not really do too much in the grand scheme of things. The movie starts out with getting into Gore's backstory, with him losing his daughter and then finding the god that his people worshipped and then killing said god, and this starts off his vow of all gods must die, and it seems like, okay, this is gonna be interesting, a more serious, more hardcore, a little edgier kind of villain. But with Marvel these days, they kind of do this bit where they can't really let serious stuff breathe as much anymore, and they have to make every character be a quick magnet. And it's there are some moments where Gore is actually intimidating and very cool. Other times, because there was a scene where he's speaking to these children that he's kidnapped, and he's just tormenting them for no reason, just scaring them and just for the laugh, and it just doesn't make any sense to the character that we, have him described as, because it's like, okay, your goal is to kill gods, yet you're holding these children hostage and you're, like, tormenting them. It doesn't make much sense. Like, wow, this is weird. And like, Gore doesn't do much. We see him kill one god on screen. The rest is completely, off screen. Thor, while he was with the Guardians in, like, the first 10 minutes, well, not the first 10 minutes, the first 20 minutes, more or less, they get a series of distress calls talking about how all these various gods are just dropping like flies, and that prompts Thor to go on the quest and eventually return home. Now that and it's a little sad, because it's like, okay, you have a character called Gore the God Butcher. We don't really see him do any actual butchering of the gods. I mean, we make this whole big deal of this character being like the ultimate scary dude, and he's got this weapon that is literally capable of killing gods. It is a cursed weapon that should not exist, yet we don't really do anything with it. And it is a bit of a theme where there are some interesting ideas you could explore, but they don't quite explore that. They rather would explore very unfunny jokes. As for Jane Foster, I know that there was a lot of concerns about whether or not she was going to replace Chris Hemsworth as Thor, but that is not the case, so that was a plus. In the movie, she's more of a, like, sidekick kind of partner thing, so, plus she dies in the movie. Who cares? You guys aren't going to watch the movie, I know it. She dies at the end of the movie, and that's it. She's there, she does her thing, she's got a few cringy lines here or there, her arms do not look real at all. I'm sorry, Lyndon. But yeah, it just doesn't work there. I don't know, it's just something just didn't work for me there. And then we get to Valkyrie, who really shouldn't have been in the movie at all, because I could tell within the script that the story did not have a place for her at all, because she's just tacked on, like legit. I think the first few drafts of this script did not include Valkyrie at all, and they only just tacked her on just to have her be involved in the story, and that was it. Now, it was just ridiculous. And then, after that, it's standard typical, like, MCU comedy, quote-unquote, on the comedy, because it's very, like, just, they try to do all these jokes, rapid-firing them, and it just doesn't make, it doesn't really work out well, it's just completely stale, and I don't know what it was, because I genuinely got laughs and chuckles out of Thor Ragnarok, and that didn't happen here. I don't know if it was just maybe Taika just didn't bring out his A game for this one, or just his style of comedy is getting a little bit stale. It's really hard to say, but it wasn't there. The movie itself wasn't overly offensive to me. Like, there wasn't any moments where, like, Jane Foster was, like, talking like if she was the superior Thor, blah blah blah, or anything like that. It was nice to keep that there, but the movie was just painfully, like, average, mediocre, like, mid, and that's what it is. Cookie cutter, average, that's all I could explain on that. It's just, it's very disappointing, what else? I mean, they try to throw in, like, other gods into it, but it just doesn't, but it's, like, pointless, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It was a very cookie-cutter movie that just really just, it's not worth it. Not worth the ticket, not worth sailing, not even bothering with, watching it on, like, bargain bin or whatever. it's really just skippable, if anything. But yeah, that's just gonna be my thoughts on the movie. It's just what it is, you know. But anyway, thank you all for coming along. If you have any recommendations for anything I should review within the superhero genre, games, movies, TV show, anime, etc., please leave it down in the comment section below. I like reading comments, so that would be very nice. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.